Hello. So, today I thought that I would talk about death. And, well, first let's look at the dictionary definition of death. I feel like that would be the best idea. Um, Death define the act of the act or fact of dying or being killed, the end of life of a person or organism, the state of being dead, the permanent ending of vital processes in the cell's history. Okay, that's a decent thingy. So like just when you stop creating chemical reactions in your body, i.e., vital processes in cells or tissues. I think that's alright, but with death there comes a lot of things, i.e., like afterlife and other stuff like that. And well, I'm here to talk about that. So, you know, what would life be for it to have an ending? If that makes sense, like what does life have to be for it to have an ending? There are quite a few opinions, I suppose, but in my opinion, my humble little opinion, I think that life is a series of moments in a given time where something is willingly able to move. I guess that's a thought I have for what life could be. You guys can also tell me what you think life is. That's totally cool. Maybe a more humane definition of life. What would that be? Because like we're people. First, we're like very intelligent organisms. So maybe we are entitled to some sort of better idea of what you know death or life can be. Um, and I'm not honestly not sure what life is. Well, yeah. I guess first we have to find out what life is if we want to know what death is. That's fine. The condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. The existence of an individual human being or animal. Hmm. The second one's a bit dodgy. The existence of an individual human being or animal. It's like, do we exist? That's a whole different thing. So yeah, I think the first one's quite nice. Um, it's it's something not alive if it can't reproduce. Like for example, a hermaphrodite, they can't reproduce, or somebody with that was suppose they were born with a urinary tube or whatever it's called, urethra, I think, and they can pee and stuff, so they won't like poison their blood or whatever. But would they be considered life if they can't create new life? Like they can't have children, they don't have gametes and so on. I it's a hard question because maybe it's reproduction within cells because cells can reproduce, but would that count? Because the individual organism of a human would not be able to reproduce. Um, so I'm not sure. It's all just like things I'm thinking about and you know getting you along with me to think about. Hopefully someone listens because I like talking about this stuff. Anyway, so I think death is, you know, in a sentence, apart from the end of life, um, death would be the loss of energy within a person in a particular pattern to cause said person or thing that can respire and produce and so on and grow to stop functioning properly. No, not stop functioning properly, stop functioning at all. So I feel like ultimate death would be a cease to all chemical reactions within a body. Because chemical reactions are happening in our body all the time, and I feel death would be an end to that, you know, just an end to everything. And it seems quite maybe not I don't want to say optimistic. Maybe easy is the word I'm looking for. If that makes sense. I hope it does. Like easy in the sense that we are suffering all these conditions of life, and a very simple answer would be death. But then another question arises: is why do we want to live? Which is a good idea for another podcast, because I think that's a very much more in-depth type thingy. So I'll put that in like a sticky notes thing. So yeah, why do we want to live? But what makes something alive rather than dead? Because lithium reacting with water is not alive. It's a chemical reaction, but it's not alive. Well, it's not alive in our eyes, in our ideas, because it's inorganic materials, like the definition said, inorganic matter. But I don't know. Do you guys believe that inorganic matter should be included in the definition of whether life or something is life or not? If that makes sense. I'm not sure. Okay. That's a decent thought. Now let's think about another thought. Sorry for the silence. I'm probably gonna have to trim a few bits out. Um, what about I'm gonna think for a bit. Okay, so I thought of another idea that links into positive and negative charges again, as I like to include sciencey stuff in my thoughts. So death is only there because of life. Life is the opposite of death, and yeah, they're opposite to each other, right? The same way as positive is opposite to negative, but they both perfectly exist in the universe, a positive and a negative. So at some point, do they not equal the same thing? Is what I'm thinking. Are they at all levels completely the opposite? Because maybe positivity and negativity is like the ultimate definition of opposites. Like black and white as well would be one, but not really, because they're both colors or tones. Well, I guess white is a lack of tone, black is tone itself, but that's a different conversation. But if life is defined by growth and all that stuff, like reproduction, functional activity, continual change. If you created a robot that could grow, like it had a mechanism inside itself to add on parts, it could reproduce itself, it could be functionally active, and a machine can be made to continually change, preceding its end of service time or death. So, how is a machine not alive if we were to give it all these properties? That's why I think the definition of this life is a bit imperfect. I feel like life can only be a word or a possibility if there is death. The same way you wouldn't call it life if someone lived forever, you would call it immortality. Because it's not life, it's immortality. It's, I guess some people would say infinite life, but that's not exactly right because they don't die, so they cannot live in a sense, I guess. Basically, I feel some definitions of life aren't very great because they seem to suppose that machines can live and that something that lives forever or can, like some jellyfish, are defined as living even though they die. I guess their cells would die, so their cells would be living, but they would be immortal. That's why there are different words for it, because they're different things, in my opinion, at least. So, yeah, what is death? Well, death is the end of life. And what is life? Life is to... I don't know. To be randomly... To be a combination of chemical reactions. To be a combination of random chemical reactions that causes things to interact differently with elements and components around their person or organism. I think that's quite good with the definite insinuation of death and an end to life. Yeah, I think that's a decent definition. Right, well, that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching me or listening to me talk about this stuff. Yeah, I'd appreciate it if, you subscribed or you liked or commented. That would be very appreciated, actually, because I like talking to people. But most of all, thank you for getting this far. Anyway, great, thanks.